This is The Rebel Attic, episode 18. All right, so one of the awesome things about doing a podcast is I get to do things like this, talk to people who are cool, doing cool things. And today my guest is Emily from Emily's Casting Crafts. How are you, Emily?
Hi, I'm good, Kevin. How are you?
Good. It's good to see you and talk to you. So for
Thank
those who
you.
don't know, I make knives as a part-time hobby. Emily makes knife handles for the, kind of small-time knife making industry for people like me who do it kind of at home or for a smaller scale. And she's made some incredible handles, and we're going to talk to her about those things today. So first, I want to know, how did you get started doing this?
So it was kind of a funny story. I went to Blade Atlanta, which is the biggest knife show, as far as I know, in the world,
Yeah.
in 2017. And I was fascinated by the knives and the creativity. And then I came upon Voodoo Resin's work, and they are one of the biggest, if not the biggest, resin knife scales makers. And I was just absolutely shocked by their creativity and their selection. On the way home, my family and my boyfriend, we were talking about it, and he goes, "Why don't you make them?" And I said, "What do you mean make them? Nobody makes things like that. It's
Yeah.
who makes that?" And he just goes, "Just make them." So I started looking into it, and about 6 to 8 months after that, I tried my first resin cast, and it did not look like anything. And I just kept trying, and it got better and better, and I eventually turned that into an almost a full-time job now.
Wow.
So
That's
that's how it
awesome.
started. Blade, the show, and Voodoo Resin's inspiration.
Yeah, well, it's amazing to think when you see things like that and you think, or somebody gives you the idea, like, hey, why can't I do that? And that's really cool. I was the same with knives.
Yes.
I watched a documentary about this guy who made knives, and I was like, I could do that, or maybe I could. Like, I'd like to find out. And I took a little weekend knife making class, and eventually just started slowly buying the stuff, and then before you know it, you're doing it. So that's really cool.
It is crazy how something like that can just grow so much. To me, at least, I was not aware of resin work at all prior to that,
Yeah.
and it just picked up for me, and it's a passion.
Yeah. And you had a booth at Blade this year, didn't you?
I did have a table this year and last year. It is the one of the best experiences in my life. Yes,
Yeah, you showed
it's
pictures
amazing.
on Facebook about taking pictures with all the knife makers who know you and use
Mhm.
your work. And it seems like there's quite a really cool community that you've become a part of. Tell us some
Yes.
stories maybe about that, what kind of a community you've kind of unknowingly become a part of.
So I call that community my family now. They are from my pretty long time experience now being in that community. They are very hardworking and down to earth people, incredibly helpful, especially when you go to Blade, the show. They will teach you anything you need to know about knife making. Nobody has any restrictions on that. From the biggest guys to the littlest guys, it's like everyone will be there for you. On a personal level, they have been there for me more than I can even express. We had a family tragedy a few months ago, and the entire community, I mean, like hundreds of people, reached out one way or another and supported us, which was beyond amazing. And I try to do the same. They're amazing people. The knife making community, I would not change that for the world. It's amazing. It is an amazing place to be.
That's really cool. I remember seeing that outpouring for you and your family on
Yes.
Facebook, because you put a lot of stuff on Facebook. It's where you have a lot of your stuff, and that was really neat to see. Well, also the quality of your handles is exceptional, if I must say. I've used a couple of them, and sometimes when you buy handles from people, like say I buy some stabilized burl or something, it
Mhm.
may not lay flat, or it might have holes in it. It might not be exactly right. But everything I've gotten from you has been just perfect, exactly how
Thank
you
you.
need it. Yeah, well, it's true. Like if anyone hasn't used them, like go to emily'scastingcrafts.com, and I'll put that in the notes so people can click on it. But and you
Thank you.
also made let's see, almost a year ago now, you made a knife handle with my company at the time who I was working for, with that logo on it. And you did one and you sent it to me, or you sent the picture, and you're like, this is what I got, but I'm not too sure I like it. And I was like, yeah, it's not quite right. And you just made another one. And before that,
Absolutely.
what's
Yeah.
that?
Absolutely. I would make it the way the customer likes it.
Yeah, it's much appreciated. And even before, I'm
Mhm.
just speaking to your thanks to your generosity. Like you also made a knife handle with a logo of a college team on it for me. I don't know if you remember this, a couple years ago. And
Which one was it?
it was the Ohio. Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, you made that for me, and turns out the guy didn't want it. And I was like, if you need me to buy it, I will. But you're like, oh, don't worry about it. Like, so just that was really nice of you. And if anyone, like I
Yes.
said, needs a handle, contact Emily. But that's my two
Thank you.
cents out of the way, my experience with
Mhm.
you. But so you have obviously a noticeable accent. Where are you from exactly, and how did you come here?
I was born and raised in Bulgaria. Spent my 20 something years there and then immigrated to the United States with the green card lottery, which was another crazy story about me. But here I am. I made this my home, and America is home now.
Nice. You kind of cut out there. You moved here when you were how old?
I was 22, 23 when I moved here by
Okay.
myself, and
Hmm.
I made this my home.
Okay.
I've spent most of pretty much the entire adult life, my life here in the United States, and yeah, this
Yeah.
is home. But I was born and raised in Bulgaria in the 80s and 90s.
Okay. So
Some tough times, but yes.
yeah, I was going to ask. Yeah, that I guess maybe I'm curious to know if doing what you're doing now in America, with just kind of making your own thing and doing it, if something like that would be possible in Bulgaria, or what kind of how harder would it be there? As someone who doesn't
So
know
I
anything about
know,
Bulgaria.
yeah, I know a few knife makers in Bulgaria, and some of them make their own scales. I know they have access to epoxy resins.
Okay.
I don't use epoxy. I use polyurethane resin, which has slightly different um, characteristics than the epoxy resin. It works slightly different too, but from my understanding is that the characteristics are better for knife making and for scales
Okay.
than the epoxy resins. It's not a significant difference. The polyurethane resin, as far as I know, is not available in Bulgaria for the general public. It is more of an industrial type resin.
I see.
I don't know how they supply themselves, and I honestly don't know of any makers that work on scales only in Bulgaria.
Hmm. Okay. Is it
So people do use resins. They do it for their own purposes, usually the knife makers, and that's about it.
okay? Is it like, I guess I'm wondering from a maybe government standpoint, is it easy to just start doing something on your own over there, or are there I know nothing about the country, so are there a lot of hurdles if you want to start your own business, or was it easier in
So
America?
I honestly don't know. I
Okay.
would say that it's easier here, but it's because it's more developed.
Gotcha.
Anything is much more developed. There's easier access to supplies here. There's a lot more places you can get supplies from
Okay.
versus over there. it's not that easy. But I don't know details about that much.
Okay. So you make some really interesting handle designs. It's not just like, here's a red one and here's a black one. Like you make some really cool designs. A lot of animal, like snakes, fish, and you
Hmm.
even have a deer hide one now that like I'm going to
That's
be
the
ordering
newest,
as soon as
yes.
it's available. Is it already available or no?
It is available. Everything that I make is made to order now.
Okay.
I don't have anything that is readily available
Okay.
usually.
Yeah.
And everything I offer is on the website. But my abilities to create designs are endless at this point. I will work out any design, any idea that you can come up with. I will work it out with you and I will make it work. I've made probably more than 300 different designs at this point. I haven't really counted them.
Yeah.
But my abilities are pretty vast. I can make anything. That's how I say it. I can make anything.
I think you can. Yeah.
Just give me the idea. And honestly, I work every week. I work on a new design. Sometimes
Hmm.
it works out. Sometimes it doesn't work out, and I have to continue working it. But I will come up with something new almost every week now.
Wow. So is that what?
It is endless. It is endless. The ideas are absolutely endless.
So you must have a bit of a creative streak in you to
Hmm.
do this and come up with things. Have you always been like that?
No, I was into arts when I was in middle school. Once I entered high school, though, I was too busy with the schooling because it was like a specialized math and English school, and I did not have time to do any art related
Hmm.
work. And now it just picked up again.
Okay. Just kicked
This
right back
time in
in.
resin, just came up again in resin this time.
That's cool. So it must, I guess, what makes it interesting to you? Obviously, you wouldn't do this if you didn't enjoy it. What makes it interesting? Is it the creative process or trying to nail a design you have in your head?
To nail the design, when somebody brings up a new design, that's a challenge for me. That immediately flares up something in my brain, and I have to make it. I cannot let it be. I have to make it. It's like it triggers some kind of a response in me. Other than that, just making it come up to life and seeing it on a knife is the best feeling in the world. And sometimes I have to try 2, 3, 4 times until I nail the actual design. Right now, since I've been doing it for so long, I have so many methods that I have come up with that I can easily work out a new design,
Hmm.
but I still come up with new methods to do something new. It's amazing. It's just that there's so many ways to do this, and I'm still finding new ways that it gives you that very good feeling about your work.
Yeah. And your knife handles really do make a knife. If I make a knife with just a regular wood handle, it's like, oh, yeah, that's cool. But I make one with your handle, and people are like, whoa. So, yeah, it's really cool. You can definitely see the passion and the artistry you have for it. And I showed my wife the deer hide ones, and
Hmm.
she's like, "That looks like a deer." I was like, "I know, I gotta get a couple of those because I made some hunting knives and I'm gonna sell them because of your handle."
Hmm.
Being, coming from where you came from and having the experiences you have had, and now doing this and really honestly, like, making it in America, what would you say to a young person who thinks they, I guess, maybe don't have a chance or, don't know what to do? What would you say to someone like that who's kinda just searching?
If they're just searching, I would encourage them to search deep and everywhere. This country gives endless opportunities. It is amazing how much there is. Honestly, from everyone has some sort of passion within them. All they have to do is find that. And sometimes people um, don't know what it is. Try different things, try small things, try bigger things until you find it. Once you find it, stick with it, and it will grow. It will grow. And I've seen this in young people who have passion. For my daughter, for example, she has passion. always has had passion for dance. It can grow tremendously. All you have to do is find it and support it. And if nobody else supports it, don't worry about it. It will grow. You just have to find that passion. Sometimes people say, "Oh, it's too expensive. I can't invest into it," and that's in most cases that's the case. I don't have the time. I don't have the money. Yes, that is always there.
Yeah.
But start small. Start very small. You don't have to go big from day one. That's how I started. The way I started was very minimal, and I was very impressed with my first sets. My first probably like 100 sets. And now when I look at these pictures now, I was like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
What was I really thinking? I wouldn't even post these pictures anywhere to be seen.
Yeah. I'm the same when
Start
I look at my first
small.
couple of knives. Yeah.
Yeah. But do go back when you grow. Do go back to those first pictures. Remind yourself where you started from, and you will see how much progress you've made. Start small. There is someone said once, invest 5 minutes of your time every day into something little, and you'll see how it grows. Just 5 minutes a day.
Yeah. That's great advice. Well, and the other thing is
Mm-hmm.
consistency. Like, if you really want to do something, you got to keep at it. And yeah, if you do it 5 minutes a day, that adds up over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Consistency comes with the passion too. Some people just don't have it. They're not motivated. Then that's not your passion. Find what you're really interested in and go with that.
Nice. So I started making some epoxy resin scales myself a couple years ago,
Mhm.
and it's quite a lot to learn and do. And so I think you've really found a place to like sit comfortably in this world, because while I liked doing the epoxy handles and making my own, it was I don't have enough time to do that and the knife making. Like I don't have time to master that. Which, if I'm doing something and it's not good enough, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to do it, and I can concentrate on the knives and just hire this awesome knife making out, because what you make is going to be better than anything I ever did, because I don't have the time for it. And so, yeah, I think you've found
Mhm.
a real cool spot to be in.
I think so too. I've tried making other resin things. I still do. I will still do something on the side. Nothing excites me as much as making the knife scales. I've made different resin jewelry and tables and little gadgets and cups, and I don't even remember many things. But it doesn't, my heart is not in it.
Hmm. Something about
The knife
knives.
skills is where there's something about it. I can't even explain it. I don't know what it is.
Magic. Your heart is half
Mhm.
resin. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. I
Okay.
joke sometimes that I think in resin because everywhere I go, and that's another thing. Everywhere I go, I see things in resin. And I think to myself, I can make this
Oh,
and I can make that. And I
nice.
look at somebody's t-shirt or car design or anything, and I'm like, yep, I'm gonna make that. Somebody's phone case the other day. I took a picture of that phone case. I want to make it.
Nice.
That's how it goes.
That's funny. Yeah. Once it gets in your
Hmm.
head, you
Hmm.
start to see it everywhere. And then,
I see it everywhere. So
do,
there is another thing that I wanted to mention. When I started out, as I said, my work was not just, it was just resin. It was just like colors.
yeah.
Not even that impressive. And somebody contacted me on Facebook. I also wasn't that active on social media at the time, but somebody who turned out to be a very good friend of mine, Scott Fitzel, he contacted me on Facebook and he asked me if I can make him some orange and clear resin, I think was at the time, beads. So I said yes. He's in the EDC community,
Hmm.
and he's in two groups: the EDC Brotherhood and I think it's called Everything Knives. He recommended my work to Jason Davis, who runs Blunt Force Blades. And Jason is the first big knife maker who actually started working with my scales. And these two people actually brought me up to be seen and exposed my work from the very, very beginning. And now I'm very good friends with both of them. And I think that if it wasn't for those two, I would have been a little bit behind in coming up to the stage, if you know what I mean.
Okay.
So the support, back to the knife making support, it is always there.
Yeah.
It is a great community to be part of. Family, it's my family. I call them the dysfunctional family, but
Well, a bunch of people who carry around sharp objects, it's cool though.
yeah.
That was
Yes.
another thing I was going to ask. You've been,
Mhm.
your knife handles have been used by a lot of people, even some people who
Mhm.
are pretty big names. What are some of the names, big players who
Ooh.
start using your handles?
Oof. I can name some names, but like I hate to leave someone behind because I work with so many of absolutely fantastic knife makers. I would say that probably the biggest name that I can think of right now is Jason Knight. He is part of the Forged in Fire, and he also is pretty big in knife making education.
Okay.
He's probably the biggest name that I can think of right now. But oh boy, I work with so many. I can't even begin to name names.
Well,
Yes.
for people to see your knives and people who use your knives, you can go to your page on Facebook and your website, and I'll put those, links in the show note.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else you want to talk about or go over?
So first, I am incredibly flexible, as I mentioned, in design making. If you have an idea, if you have a piece of memorabilia that you want to incorporate in your knife scales, if you're looking for a knife of certain type with my scales, I will work with you. I will find you the right knife maker. I will make you the right scales in any shape and form. My website offers most of the designs that I offer, but I'm very flexible in sizes and colors and thickness, all of that. I just don't offer all of it because it is more complicated um, to go through all of it. And again, if you're just a collector and you're looking for something specific and you want a specific knife, I will find you that knife maker. I will recommend several. You can go through them and then decide on the scales. And I can make it easier for you that way. I'm always very, very open to any messages, any communication. I will reply to you pretty much right away. Um, I don't have any. I will talk to you.
Yeah,
I will talk to you.
it's true. You will. Yeah, I've
Yes.
messaged you whenever I have a question or want something, and it's like right away,
Hmm.
boom. Yeah,
I
and
will talk.
she is willing to do whatever you want. Twice with me, you have just made it and knocked it out of the park. So okay, well, hey, I appreciate your time. It was really nice to talk to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Me too. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Well, what an awesome lady. Such a delight to talk to. And what a great story about following your passion and continuing to do it and getting good at it. We could all learn a lesson from that. So, really appreciate you talking to me, Emily. I want to thank everyone for listening. Subscribe where you listen to this, share it with a friend if you think it's worth it, and we'll see you next time.